One day from society's restraints, money, clout, and fame, mud, disease, a plague. We all love to hate, have to play the game, have to make a name. All our insecurities are on display. This is war with the enemy. Think that it was meant to be. Living in a time where disease is on every screen. I won't let them fester me. I know most are festering. Negativity is a plague for the mentally weak. No mercy, all I got is working. Never stop searching, never quench the thirsty. I'm toxic and psychotic with this logic, you can't stop it. It's been chronic since I was a boy, so neurotic and chaotic.
I'm built to last with the webs I'm weaving. I could change the past with all I'm achieving. Got my foot on gas, never stop competing. If you break like glass, then this life's gonna eat 'em. Make mistakes real fast, then you learn how to beat 'em. If you take off the cast, you can see all the healing. If the pain's in the past, move on from the grave and put your foot on the gas. No, never stop competing, yeah. I've been doing this, I'm on it. I just wanna be iconic. Sipping on a gin and tonic. Got me going off when I'm on this topic, yeah. If I ever play, I want it. You know that I'm always honest. Stay away from those who are toxic. Keep them out your face, no way, you don't want them, yeah. Don't try to drain my energy. The enemy is everything. It's mentally, unhealthily spreading like a rare disease. But I won't let it get to me. I don't need your therapy. I can leave a legacy of leading by intensity. Come on, we can fight this. Freedom is priceless. Spread just like a virus. Living in a crisis. Do you feel courageous? Do you seek greatness? Trust me, you can take it. Go on and take your aim. Yeah. I'm built to last with the webs I'm weaving. I could change the past with all I'm achieving. Got my foot on gas, never stop competing. If you break like glass, then this life's gonna eat 'em. Make mistakes real fast, then you learn how to beat 'em. If you take off the cast, you can see all the healing. If the pain's in the past, move on from the grave and put your foot on the gas. No, never stop competing, yeah.
What up? We're live from the 2025 Reese's Senior Bowl. Bill Workman over here putting in work at NFLDraft.net. We got Bessie, the cow. I don't know why she's wearing a veil. I don't know. We got here, and the first thing I saw was that cow with her veil in all of its Senior Bowl glory, and I decided that Bessie was going to be an integral part of our Senior Bowl coverage. Bill Workman also getting him or her up on the screen. Day one in the books. It was a crazy day. We left last night about 11 o'clock out of Greenville. We took a 2-hour snoozer in the Parks Ford mobile studio in a rest stop somewhere in a very sketchy part of Alabama with some really interesting, nefarious critters in the car beside us, just absolutely wanting to fucking kill each other. It was a whole lot. Then I almost ran over Field Yates. I literally almost started the day by ending my career by running over Field Yates with a car because he was behind us, and I was backing up the Parks Ford mobile studio, and I did not see him, and we had a great laugh about that. So then we were there for every second of the Senior Bowl practices today. Some guys really, really, really helping their stock. So I'm going to start with we'll have super chats, and I will do those throughout. So I see one already. Let me get a button here. You would think after this many lives I would be ready with a button, but yet I'm not. I've slept 2 hours in 2 days, so. Anybody that ever says Jeremy's not built different, I believe we can definitively say that's not true. I drove 600 miles and sat through 2 full workouts, one of which was terrible. But we'll get to that in a minute. Our first super chat of the day comes from our guy Soaring Eagle. Regardless of who won or lost the Senior Bowl, the Saints might actually be Elemento dead. There is a report that there is fear they're not going to get anybody to take that job. Somebody will take that job. The report I got today is that it's 100% Mike McCarthy. So there's very little doubt that in my mind that they're going to have a coach. It's probably going to be Mike McCarthy, and I would wager it's by the end of the week. So that's what I got today. So we'll see if that holds to be true. You can get those super chats in. I will read those as they come in. We will also be doing a Patreon Q&A. Any player that you want to ask me, I have at least a little bit of information about from today. Some of them were nondescript, but we'll be doing that on the Patreon, patreon.com/NFLDraftNet. A lot of levels there, basically just showing your support. We'll be doing some deep dives. I plan on working through the night. There's going to be a lot of content. It's going to be like drinking from a fire hose. So NFL Draft Net, the Patreon. You can also find us at NFLDraft.net with our player rankings that will all be out, all of our top 10s by the end of the week, all of our risers and fallers from the Senior Bowl, and Bill Workman's top 100 will be out at the end of the week as well, and my top 300 will be halfway to done by the end of this week. We have another super chat. This one's from Sir Jimothy. Fat and I like Taco Bell. That's why that's our super chat thing. Is there a GM Dallas could draft at the Senior Bowl? There are a lot of them. There are a lot of guys here that I've run into a lot of scouts today. The full jet contingent was parked right beside us with the Parks Ford Mobile Studio. They gave me a thumbs up, said looking sweet in their rental car from Florida. It's one of the wild things about this is that you just got to kind of turn a corner and, hey, there's Mike Clay. Hey, there's Trevor Sikkema. Hey, there's a whole contingent of Green Bay Packers scouts that really need us to move our sizable truck before they can get their rental car out. That also happened today. Bob Schiffler asked, do I believe the NFL's fixed? I do not. If it's fixed, they're doing a horribly shitty job of it because they're making it way too damn obvious. And they're making it way too obvious for one of the smallest market teams in the league, which is hard for me to believe. So I say no. I understand why you're asking the question. Chiefs get every call. I get it. But no, I don't think it's fixed. Colin with another super chat. Mullet King, I know this about the Senior Bowl. I'm seeing a few people in the media blaming Josh Allen for the loss in the AFC Championship game, and I don't agree with it. I don't agree with it either. I think Josh Allen did everything he could do, and I commented on this in my last ESPN radio show yesterday. I don't really know what more you wanted from Josh Allen. He put a dot on Dalton Kincaid. I think Joe Brady had some very questionable play calls, and it led to us being here. But I'm with you. I don't blame Josh Allen for that at all. So with no more super chats at the moment, let's get into some winners. Day one here at the Reese's Senior Bowl. I believe it was pretty universal. I didn't hear anybody today that didn't comment Gray Zabel, the offensive lineman from North Dakota State, as an absolute gigantic winner of the day. Played tackle at North Dakota State. A lot of people think that he projects to play guard in the NFL. I can tell you today he lined up at both guard spots, center and right tackle. So they're trying to throw everything in their power at him, and he knocked it out of the park. I don't think he lost a rep today. If he did, I didn't see it. Bill Workman is shaking his head. Bill was locked in on the workouts. I had to do some hobnobbing and shit. Bill doing the yeoman's work, just locked in on the workouts. Some things I even didn't see. He told me about. But Zabel, I liked him. I talked about him coming into this week. A guy with a 93.1 pass block grade, 84.8 zone grade, 86.5 run block grade, 88.2 true pass set pass block grade. I mean, there's really nothing not to like about Gray Zabel. If he can continue what he did today, I think there's a great chance that he'll put himself in, I believe, into the first round consideration. I think he's a top 50 lock right now. I fully believe Gray Zabel could just pack his shit up and move it out in the middle of the night, and he's still top 50 locked for me. Top half of the second round, and there's really nothing that changes. Red Sea asked, do I think Zabel projects more as a tackle or a guard? After today, it kind of confirmed what I already thought, which is I think he's a tackle. I'm not sure he can't play left tackle, but I know definitively he can play right. And for me, I would project him as a right tackle with worst case scenario being he comes to the league, gets a little overpowered. Maybe the level of competition messes with him. Maybe he has less of a week the rest of the week, and I know there's safety that I can slide him in at guard. But he was definitively one of the gigantic winners of today. I absolutely loved him. Bill and I talked about him a lot today, and I'll be looking. He's one of the players that I have an asterisk by of don't be shocked if we get to the field at 9:30 in the morning, 10:30 Eastern time. Learned that the hard way today. I had to kill an hour because time zones are fucking fun. Don't be shocked if we get to the field tomorrow and there's no great Zabel. I've already learned my lesson with this. Don't be shocked if guys have great days and you just go, bye, and they're gone. They hopped on a jet plane overnight and they have disappeared into the ether. Gomaha asked, how are our accommodations here in Mobile? Bill, I think they're solid. We got a 3-bedroom house. We're in a very nice neighborhood. There's a car 2 doors down, brand new Corvette, beautiful. We all have gigantic beds. Coach Kent Briggs will be here hopefully within the next couple hours. He was coming through Atlanta when we talked to him after dinner. But he should be here sometime in the next hour, 2 hours, something like that. We will be sitting right here in the de facto mobile NFLDraft.net studios. I think Bill was shocked by how much shit actually goes into this. I had 2 full luggage containers full of stuff. Only one side of one bag was clothes. And that's for 2 weeks between this week and next week at the Super Bowl. So my first winner of the week, Gray Zabel, offensive tackle from North Dakota State. My next one is a guy that I got asked so many questions today about this guy, and only a few of them were, hey, how the fuck do you pronounce his name? Donovan Ezerique from Boston College. Not the biggest guy you've ever seen. I mocked him in the Senior Bowl mock to the Baltimore Ravens. He showed today that he belongs with the biggest of the big boys. 16.5 sacks at Boston College. Incredibly high pass rush win rate. Just a lot to like about the kid. And I feel like he came in very prepared. And I saw him do a lot of different things today. In terms of edge rusher, I think Ezraku probably helped himself more than any player in this class. It's a guy that's been a top 50 edge rusher according to PFF grade 2 of his 3 years. Only had the one blip year. Oh, by the way, the kid just turned 21 years old like 2.5 months ago. So 90.4 pass rush grade from PFF, 18.1% pass rush win rate from last year in the ACC. By the way, he had 14 sacks. I said 16.5. I was a little high. So Ezraku was definitely a winner for the it was definitely one of the winners of the week. Red Sea said, Ezraku, what the fuck is the A ending? I can tell you. We had Levi Azariki a few years ago, and I see those names, and in my redneck fucking head, they're the same thing. Donovan Ezraku. Going to get to pronunciations because I have dubbed 2 guys a greatest tag team ever, and we will discuss them momentarily. Donovan Ezraku, big winner for me today. There were several edge rushers that I really thought did themselves some favors. Josiah Stewart from Michigan, he had an incredibly good day. He's just so light. I don't know where he's going to play. And that's a problem. That's a problem that the Senior Bowl is not really going to solve for you because you're never going to not be 6'1" as an edge rusher. You're never not going to be 245 pounds and look like you're about 230. I mean, I thought this all day. I was right down on the field. He was standing right in front of me. And the only thing I kept looking at was some of the other edge rushers that were out here, Landon Jackson namely, just going, you look like a little kid next to him. Mike Green, who weighs roughly the same amount, he looks astronomically bigger than Josiah Stewart. But he had a great workout today. I think he did himself a lot of favors. another edge rusher that I think did himself some favors today. Oh, my button went away. Where did it go? So I'm going to basically break this down. Now that we've gotten to this point, I'm going to go team by team. So we had the national team started first. That was what we saw at the beginning of the day. And I'm going straight down the roster that they sent us. It basically goes by school. Landon Jackson, very uneven day for him today. I'm not going to call him a loser. I know Bill was not happy with his output today. I'm not going to say he was a loser. I just think he was up and down. I think it was inconsistent. Kind of the same thing I'd say about Harold Fannin Jr. He looked really stiff in and out of breaks, didn't look fluid, didn't really make any play that even made me notice him. The national team came out with a lot of – the defensive line was on fire the minute the practice started. I really can't tell you a guy from the national team that I didn't think had at least a passable day to carry into day two without really denigrating the grade if I didn't bump them up. And of the edge guys, or the defensive line guys, the ones that I had an uptick on were Ezeraku, Mike Green, the edge rusher from Marshall. I thought he had a good, if not kind of unspectacular day. It was enough for me to say, okay, you get a notch up. Ja Joyner had a couple good snaps, but nothing that it didn't really send me. He showed that he was fast, but I already knew that he was fast. That didn't really change anything for me. Aeneas Peebles had probably the best 3-snap combo of plays back to back to back of any player over the course of the day. That was really all he did, but those 3 plays were enough for me to call him a winner today. And those are your defensive linemen from the national team. Now, we'll go over to the American team, and this is going to be a pretty consistent theme. I don't have a lot of winners from the American team. I don't really know what the hell that was, but they came out, and this is just a little inside baseball of what happened in the stadium. They came out. There's no music playing. There was music playing the entire practice for the national team. There's no music playing for the American. There was no music the entire practice. It never started, and I didn't notice that until the end. But the whole practice was just flat as hell. There was no real energy, no real – it didn't look like a Senior Bowl practice. It looked like a walkthrough that you would see before a game. I found it to be very strange. I said the same thing about one of the teams last year, that their practices didn't make a whole lot of sense to me. But I dug a little deeper, and I did find a couple guys that I thought had a productive day. Walter Nolan was really good. I'm not surprised by that. I won't be surprised if he shuts it down and we don't see him again. I think he cemented himself as a first-round pick today. Cameron Jackson from Florida is a mountain of a human. He was in the final one-on-ones, the call your shot drill, and he went up against 3 guys. And I would say it went to a draw, but if I was giving a winner, it would be to Cam Jackson. Jared Ivey from Ole Miss had his moments. TJ Sanders was really my biggest winner from the American team. He had some really electric reps. I think he cemented himself into that day 2 area. I already pretty well thought he was there. I think he cemented himself there with his performance today. So that's your defensive lineman from the American team. We'll stick with the American team, talk about the corners, because one of my – or not the corners, the defensive backs. I had a few winners from the American team. First one was Trey Amos, who if you didn't already have him at 5, which I do, I have him ahead of Jahdae Barron, I would have moved him in front of Jahdae Barron today. Just what I saw was enough to say that's enough for me to take you over the more physical corner, but the smaller corner that I think probably has to play in the slot a lot at the next level. I think Trey Amos did himself some real favors today. Maxwell Harrison, I heard some positive about him. I didn't see as much of it. I didn't have any negatives on him. I just didn't think he was a huge winner. One of Bill Workman's biggest winners of the day, Billy Bowman Jr., safety from Oklahoma. He had a really good rep where he just drove on a ball and a one-on-one and took one away from Shamir DK out of Florida. And it was one of the only interceptions that I saw, which is shocking because the quarterback play for the American team was fucking terrible. But Billy Bowman Jr. was definitely a winner from today. Two more names that I want to mention. Caleb Ransaw, I saw around the ball a good bit today. Upton Stout from Western Kentucky. The measurables were really good on him, and I did notice him a couple times today I want to see him more as we go throughout the week and see if he can maintain some momentum going through the week. Generations with I thought that was Tank looking over your shoulder. This is Bessie. She is a welcome addition to the NFLDraft.net mobile studio here in Mobile, Alabama. She's wearing a veil for some reason. I don't know why. This was the picture that was staring at us when we walked in the Airbnb today. So now she's on set. We have 2 super chats. First one from Colin. With everything you see in this draft, you think all quarterbacks follow the second round of the draft since there is so much elite talent at every other position. I think you're going to have Cam Ward go very, very early. If I wasn't positive he was going number 1 overall before today, I am 100% positive he's going number 1 overall today. I did not talk to a scout that does not have Cam Ward at number 1, and it's by a fucking lot. There's no consensus on who's 2. That's how little positive I heard about Shedeur Sanders today. Now, the problem with having anybody but Shedeur too, all of the quarterbacks today were so damn bad that nobody took that mantle at the number 3 quarterback spot. Let me do the national team defensive backs, and then I will get to quarterbacks right after that. But Colin, no, I don't think you're going to see them fall. I think Cam Ward goes 1, Shedeur goes in the top 10 somewhere. And then we're going to be waiting for a damn long time for a quarterback because there's just not one there. You can shoehorn it, but you're not going to like the way it goes. Red Sea, my biggest takeaway from this first practice was they had the Chiefs refs on the field. The offensive line false started nearly every one-on-one rep I saw. That was what was the name on the kid that kept doing that? Logan Brown. Logan Brown had the way that I saw that was he had a very obvious false start that was not called. Somebody went to the official, and then they were just – because there's an official on the field that you can't see on television. The official was staring Logan Brown down. So they were really looking for that false start. It was – you're just trying to keep anybody from getting the unfair advantage in these one-on-ones because these do have such an effect on draft stock. And I mean, we've already seen it. You know, we saw several guys today that were really, really good. And that draft stock has surged a little bit. National team defensive backs today. I saw a couple plays from Azareye'h Thomas that make me think there's a great chance that he's going to sneak into the second round, and he probably should, because from a sheer athletic standpoint, there was enough of him for me to go, he looks different on the field than a lot of the other guys that were out there. Other positives, Sebastian Castro from Iowa, I thought had a really good, not a spectacular day, but very consistent. He was there making plays. No real banner play, but no real bad rep either. So those, I mean, and that can help you over the course of 3 days too. You just show up here and do your job for 5 days. That's a positive day because not everybody's going to do that. Not many guys are going to do that, especially because you're going to get some that have 1 good day, 1.5 good days, and they pack that shit in. The other defensive back that I wanted to talk about from the national team was Quincy Riley, another one of Bill's overall big winners of the day. I thought he had a pretty even performance. I didn't think it was quite as special as him, but I'm not going to lie to you. I did not pay as much attention to Quincy Riley, so I kind of deferred to Bill on that one. He did I thought he was consistently good, if not ever great. I didn't see a great play. I saw a lot from a guy that was lower rated coming into this, and is going to make me take a second look at him before we go to the combine. So that's what you're looking for. Darian Strong, Darian Porter, they both beat fast really good. I didn't see a whole lot of great play from them, but they were incredibly fast. The zebra, is that the up on the screen, there's that little logo when they show all the stats. It's zebra that does all that. They were the two of the fastest guys on the day, and they showed that no less than 437 times. Now we'll get into quarterbacks. This will not be a great, long, involved thing because not many of you really deserve that. Tyler Shuck almost by himself made me fall out of love with Jackson Dart because for the first 15 minutes of the national team practice, I thought he was Jackson Dart. I looked at a group of Locked On guys, the Locked On podcast team. I said, I genuinely think I have fallen out of love with Jackson Dart in the last 2 drills. Ross, one of the big bosses at Locked On, said, I'm not sure why you would be souring on Jackson Dart because he's in the fucking locker room right now. That's Tyler Shuck. And I went, that's why he doesn't look like himself. Because Tyler Shuck, I have now fallen out of love with you. He was genuinely terrible for the vast majority of today. The only thing that saved him was that Taylor Elgsma, the Canadan from Laurier, he does not belong on this field. He was horrible. Just awful. And we'll get into how that affected the receivers in a little bit. And Dylan Gabriel was even worse. He also looks like Kyler Murray. Dylan Gabriel looks like an 8-year-old child that dressed up as Kyler Murray for Halloween and didn't have a red helmet, so he just said, fuck it, and put on a green one. He was genuinely awful. I didn't think the quarterback play could become more of a narrative after the national team. But wait, there's more. Then the American team showed up. And I'm going to do this in reverse order of how much dog shit you actually put out on that field in Mobile today. So we had 4. Seth Hennigan he's a camp arm. I think I have him as I do not have him as a draftable quarterback. I think I have him as my 15 overall. He didn't really do anything to change that today. Showed a little bit of touch, but the talent's just very obviously not there. Then we get into the one that was the absolute abomination of the day. Jalen Milroe is not an NFL quarterback. I don't give a fuck how bad you want him to be. He's not, and he's never going to be. And if you doubt that, I'm going to show you some tape over the course of the next week of him here at the Reese's Senior Bowl that is some of the most damning tape I've ever seen. He can't make the most basic 3-yard out throw. He can't do it. He did, 5 sets in the one-on-ones? Never even hit the receiver. Not in the hands. It was never even on the body of the receiver. He was missing these guys by 5 legit yards over and over and over and over again. And it just kept getting worse. I was down on the field level for part of his workout with a guy that was trying to get B-roll of Jalen Milroe. He filmed the entire fucking practice aimed directly at Jalen Milroe. He looked at me at the end of the practice and said, I don't have one usable clip of him. He didn't have one throw today that is usable as, hey, this is the good I saw from coming to the Reese's Senior Bowl of Jalen Milroe. He was an absolute disaster. Riley Leonard was, I thought, just average. I saw a couple good throws, nothing special. I think he solidified himself as a draftable quarterback, if for nothing else, because Dylan Gabriel just, to me, he made himself completely undraftable. The kid from Laurier is completely undraftable. Jalen Milroe is completely undraftable. If you want to play him at running back, more power to you. But if you try to play him at quarterback, you're going to be sorely disappointed in what you get. I think Riley Leonard did solidify himself as draftable. Then we get to Jackson Dart. Jackson did not have a good day. I saw fan-sided, they posted a headline that said something to the effect of, the Jackson Dart hype train just came off the tracks. I didn't see that because I didn't think he was terrible. I just thought he looked a little out of sync. It looked a little disjointed. There were no high-level great throws. I didn't walk away and say, hey, he guaranteed that he's going to be the third quarterback taken in this draft. Do I still think that's how this is going to go? Yeah. Yeah, I do. Because Quinn Ewers, if he was here, would probably have done the exact same thing. I will keep a very close eye on him over the course of the next 2 days and in the game, and I will be there for the game on Saturday. I will keep an eye on him for if there's any improvement, any regression. The quarterbacks had the worst. I've been watching the Senior Bowl for over 10 years. This was the worst day of quarterback play that I have ever seen, and it's not even kind of close. There wasn't a positive. Now, I said all of the negative of the way that quarterback play went for these two teams. Now here's the positive. It didn't really have much of an effect on a handful of receivers that I still walked away going, you're pretty damn good. Jalen Royals, you're pretty damn good. Brew McCoy, he had a couple he had a couple plays today that I thought were pretty good. Jack Bech had a hell of a day. Kid from TCU, I think he really solidified himself into that day 2 conversation. I would say he's up on the high side of round 3, beginning of round 3 right now, with the possibility to work himself maybe all the way up into the top 50, because I did see electric play from him today. Arian Smith had a really good day catching the football, and he is ridiculously fast. I mean, out of this world fast. Chimera Dike, not a player that I had really high hopes for coming in here, so I thought he acquitted himself quite well, and a player that I want to keep an eye on for the rest of the week. Tight ends for the American team. I have to say this because Bill has said it to me no less than 6 times since we got back here to the Airbnb after the practices. Jake Brenningstill should not be listed as a tight end in any guide that is ever used by anyone ever, because he's a wide receiver, and he's not a very good one. I didn't think he had a great day at all. The 2 tight ends that I really wanted to talk about from the American team, Mason Taylor had a really positive day. Is it enough to guarantee a spot in the second round? No. You mix it with how up and how uneven I think Harold Fannin Jr. was today, how stiff he looked in and out of breaks. He just didn't look the part of a plug-and-play starter tight end. I think we now have an opening in the door that I didn't expect for Mason Taylor to be the third tight end that comes off the board. And I know that sounds overreactionary, but Harold Fannin it wasn't a great day. It wasn't a great day, and Mason Taylor did have a great day. He actually was one of my biggest winners of the day. The other tight end that I want to mention, Thomas Fadone, I mentioned him on the ESPN show in the go away segment for the Senior Bowl, where basically I just gave 30,000 foot view of every position group. He had a really solid day. Not spectacular, but he consistently caught the ball away from his body, showed really good hands, showed really natural ability that I just didn't see at Nebraska. I think he acquitted himself well and gives me something to watch from him moving forward. Now, the holy shit, are all of you having a good day? Came from the pass catchers from the national team. I'm going to say the most obvious one was Elijah Arroyo. He also opened the door for he could be the number 3 tight end in this class, because he looked fast, he looked shifty, he looked healthy, which is for him one of the biggest criteria, because he caught 11 passes in 3 years because he had been hurt. He showed that he's healthy, and he was open a lot. He did have one horrifically bad drop. It was probably the best ball that I saw a quarterback throw all day. Am I wrong on that? No. It might have been the best ball I saw a quarterback throw all day, and I'm not going to lie to you. Now I don't even remember which quarterback it was. It was your boy from Louisville. So it was Shuck. Yeah. That's what I thought, but I didn't want to say that. So Tyler Shuck had one really great ball. It hit Elijah Arroyo. If it had been a snake, it would have bit Elijah Arroyo, and he just batted it to the ground. So I was not as lose your shit about Elijah Arroyo, because one of my knocks on him has been his hands, and he did. That was on full display. Now, that being said, he still had a very, very good day, and I think set himself up to really help himself this week. The other tight ends for the national team didn't really do much for me. Gavin Bartholomew had a couple moments that I thought were fine, nothing to write home about, and the others were just nondescript. As I said about Harold Fannin, he was really stiff, and I didn't see much. I didn't see the player that I saw in film, but it does tell you something. He was playing against big boy, high-end Power 5 competition here and not the MAC. Now, the receiver room, that's a different story. I thought Kyle Williams from Washington State was one of the biggest winners of the day because he just kept making plays. They weren't necessarily home runs. He didn't have as good of a day as another receiver, but his expectations coming in here were so damn low. The mock draft database had him at like 8 and some change coming into this weekend. He was the lowest rated player in the game. And he was constantly open. He looked really fast. He ran really crisp routes. I thought in terms of expectation to what I got, Kyle Williams had the best day of either team. Now, in terms of who was the guy that I kept going, son of a bitch, is nobody covering him. It was Tez Johnson. Every time I saw him, I just looked up and went, good God, he's been open every single time I've seen him run a rep. He was open over and over and over again. He's opened the door to the second round for him. When my new receiver rankings come out, if he has 2 more days like that, he's going to be markedly higher than he was. Because I wasn't down on him per se. I just wasn't necessarily as high as some others had been. Xavier Restrepo, I thought, had a very up and down day. He showed exactly what I didn't want him to show, which is he is shorter than I thought he was, and he's not as fast as most people think he was. I keep hearing the comparison to Ladd McConkey. If I saw Ladd McConkey on that field today, it was Tez Johnson. It was not Xavier Restrepo. Restrepo, to me, looks more like a wish version of Danny Amendola, which has some merit in this league. I'm not saying it doesn't, but that's more of a day 3 pick as opposed to a round 3 or even round 2 where I've seen him at times pick. I didn't think he had a great day. I don't think the measurables did him any favors. He needs 2 really, really solid days moving forward, even to get back to where he started. Jayden Higgins did not have a good day from Iowa State. Just seemed a day late and a dollar short on virtually every route he ran. It didn't look super crisp in and out of routes. Didn't really look the part of second-round pick. He strikes me now as you're going to be battling in that. I'm trying to think of the tier even that I would put you in now. Let me pull up my receivers list coming into this week. Torrey Horton is the name that I keep wanting to say, but I actually think I like Horton better than him after what I saw today, because I had them very close to begin with. Okay, I'm looking at my receivers here. I would now put Jayden Higgins behind Matthew Golden. I have him behind Horton. I have him behind Ayu Manor. Jalen Royals, who was good today. Tez Johnson, he would be behind him. He's behind Isaiah Bond. Savion Williams, who we're going to talk about, and I'm so pissed off about. Jack Bech, I would even have him ahead of him. He'd be closer into the Ty Felton range after today. Receivers just so close that you can't really have a day like that without it really hurting you. So that's your pass catchers from the national team. I have not discussed running backs. The kickers. Oh, here's my my take on the kickers. They're fucking kickers. I don't care. So I didn't even acknowledge them. I saw Burnip just bomb 6 or 7 punts in a row, and I went, cool, that's a draftable punter. Analysis over. I'm through talking now. That's all I got. And Ryan Fitzgerald is a draftable kicker, and it needs to be in the last 10 picks of the draft. Moving on to running backs. I saw some good. We'll start with the national team. Damian Martinez, I didn't think he was bad. I didn't think he was special. I would say it was pretty even. Donovan Edwards was probably the funniest of all the performances I saw today, because I had no less than 8 people say, damn, this kid from Delaware is really good. Nope, you're doing that same thing I did with Jackson Dart because you couldn't possibly know that because he's not out here. It was Donovan Edwards. I thought he had a decent day. Ollie Gordon, I thought looked really decisive. Maybe not spectacular, but I don't expect spectacular out of him. He looked healthy. Bill said that off screen here, and I would agree. He did look healthy. He looked solid. I think he's solidifying himself. I didn't see a ton from Woody Marks. I didn't see a ton from LaQuint Allen. And Bashal Tootin had a few plays. I would say it was an overall net positive day for him, but not earth-shattering. You might have bumped yourself up the board 8 slots. I don't think it was special. I did see some versatility from him that puts him on that list of, that's a guy that I'm really looking forward to see if he can have that day. The winner at running back on this day to me, and there were 2 of them, was Marcus Yarns, which would be the previously mentioned Delaware kid who came out later after all these people had said this to me and had the correct color helmet on. Even though it looks like a Michigan helmet, it's not the right color. And he looked really good. And I thought Trevor Etienne looked really good today. I had virtually no expectation of him because I swear to God, if his name was Trevor Smith, he would not have been invited here. But there's enough upside. I thought he looked good. And then your winner of the day with probably the best play of the American team practice was Breshard Smith. He showed home run hitter speed. Don't be shocked if a team falls in love with him and he goes way freaking higher than you think. And when I say way freaking higher than you think, ahead of Cam Scattaboo, don't be shocked if he goes ahead of Ollie Gordon. Don't be surprised if he goes ahead of a lot of names because he has big-time home run hitter speed, and he's a really good pass catcher out of the backfield. The other running backs, I didn't really see. Jarquez Harvey had a couple moments, nothing special. Devin Neal, there's a lot of love for him in the scouting community. I heard a lot of people talking about him with nothing that he did on the field having anything to do with it. There was a lot of positive about him just around the day. So I think he had he's got a lot of momentum trending his way. Linebackers for the American team, Smile Munden, your take, Bill, was he just can't cover a running back ever. It's never gonna happen. He did not have a great day. I was not necessarily as down on him as Bill was because I expected that coming in. I think he starts as a special teamer and is one, but I also have a 5th round grade on him. He's a player that I think over the course of 2 or 3 years, he winds up with somebody Pittsburgh-y, Baltimore-y, and they're able to use the intangibles that he has and teach him some more of the tangibles. The winner from the American team was Demetrius Knight, linebacker out of South Carolina. He had a very solid day. Nobody really – Shemar James, there were people that were really fond of what he did, and I thought he had some good plays. He also had some really negative plays. And for me, 2 good plays are about equivalent to 1 really bad one. And I thought Shemar James had 2 really bad ones. So he was one of the winners of the day from the coaching staff. They nominated him in the one-on-ones at the end of the practice. So take that for what it's worth. I didn't love it, but that's where it was. The 2 Auburn guys did nothing for me. Jalen McLeod, Eugene Asante. I saw you out there. I kept having to look at my game notes and go, hey, who the hell is that? Because you're Jags. Both of them. Just guys. Linebackers on the other side, one of the biggest winners of the day, Jeffrey Bassa from Oregon. He is not of this world. Super fucking fast. I think he has slid into the 2nd round discussion. He will enter my big board inside the top 75. Just the raw height, weight, speed on him is so unbelievably tempting that you have to think he did himself some favors. Very disappointed. I didn't see much from David Walker, the kid from Central Arkansas. He was very nondescript. Nothing. I didn't see anything bad. I just didn't see anything that jumped off the tape at me. Thought Nick Martin was pretty good, if not unspectacular. And Olufemi Oladejo is built like Thor. That kid is one of the most intimidatingly well-built humans I've ever seen. The only problem is that then I saw him put on a helmet and do absolutely nothing for 2 hours. I did not see a positive or negative play. I checked my notes at the end, and his name literally never came up outside of standing on the sidelines of, good Jesus, that kid's built like Thor. Just very nondescript. I'll take a swig of my nos as my mouse falls in the floor. I'll have to pick that up in a second. While I do that, you can admire Wedding Bessie back here behind me. Oh. Offensive lineman. I believe I should probably start with the bad before I start with the good. Ariante Ursery is going to be brought up in both of these because he had a really good and a really bad. His really bad is that I saw him do that thing that scares me to death with him, which is he reaches a lot. He's so damn big that it works, but he does look very stiff at times, but he had a lot of good reps. So he's not really on the loser list for me. It was just the bad was definitely there, so I can't put him on the winner list either. Other offensive linemen that were meh. Josh Conerly Jr. Meh. There wasn't. I was disappointed because I was hoping that he would come out and show me something athletically, have a couple of really good reps that I could really lean on. I didn't see that. Ozzie Trapillo didn't really have the high-end reps for me. I was left wanting a little bit more today. That would really probably be the extent of my negative until I get to the next great tag team in the history of the Senior Bowl, which would be the Mbow-Membou combo, which left me... You remember when Avatar came out and people saw it on day one and they said it's the greatest shit since they wrote like the 10 Commandments. And then you went to see it and it was flying blue people. And you went, come again for what the fucking hype on this was again? Because I didn't really see it. I mean, I saw two really big dudes that when they went up against really small edge rushers or things like that, you could see their physicality. But then I saw physical guys go up against them, and you weren't all that impressive to me. You were fine, but there's nothing to write home about. So not a great day for the Mbow-Membou combo. Really high side for the national team. Wyatt Milum is a dog. Gray Zabel is a dog. And Anthony Belton had a really consistent day. Is he going to go in the first 2 days? No, he's a day 3 pick. But he's a day 3 pick that I think you can go into next year with him as your 7th offensive lineman, and I think you feel just fine. That's not sexy. That's not going to go in a lot of people's stories about today. But I think it needs to be said. I also think if it did go in your story today, you should also include but he's not a starter. So yes, he was a winner today, but it didn't change the fact that nobody with an IQ above salad dressing should be taking him as a starter. Logan Brown, one of Bill's big losers of the day, Kansas offensive lineman that could not stop false starting at one point. In the drills. Jonah Savanea, I didn't really see much of him. Nothing jumped off the page to me. I wasn't really impressed. But then we get to the good. I thought Emory Jones was pretty good. I saw somebody have him on the loser list, and I went, are you sure you know which one Emory Jones was? He's the big LSU offensive guard that didn't get pushed around. I thought he was impressive. I do kind of it did kind of confirm that I think he's going to come into the league as a guard and it's going to take some time, but I saw raw physical strength that was really intriguing. And then the small school guys, Jackson Slater from Sacramento State, Clay Webb from Jacksonville State, who actually won the final one-on-one rep today, and everybody in the huddle just lost their shit. And Carson Vinson, the Georgia transfer that played at Alabama A&M and was really, really consistently solid today. Red Sea with a question asked, who was the Florida State defensive tackle? That was Joshua Farmer. He did have, I didn't mention him earlier. It was not a huge plus, but it was a plus performance for me. So I'm intrigued. I was a little surprised when he wound up here because I thought he had a very disappointing year at Florida State, but a pretty good day today. Then now would be the time if you have any questions that are not like Patreon deep. This is just on the surface deep. Also, if you haven't joined the Patreon, now would be a great time to do it at patreon.com/NFL Draft Net. I will be doing a Q&A from day one. I will also be taking your questions potentially for players because I will be on the field doing interviews tomorrow. You get 10 minutes. So don't ask a dissertation of an NFL player because I don't have time to ask it. So, but if you got a question that you really want answered, you can chuck that into the Patreon chat here in 10 minutes. Andreas Pinkney, you have a great question. How did Alec Ayumanor do today? He didn't, because he didn't show up. Along with a series of other guys. Savion Williams, Malachi Moore, Andrew Mukuba, Shemar Turner, and Nick Scourton. None of them showed up today. What in the fuck are we doing? Okay, so I get it. You accept the invite and you're hurt. Why did you wait until today? You threw this whole day into chaos because, A, the Senior Bowl did not print us with printed rosters because they didn't have one. Because so many guys were last-minute subs and they didn't tell us. Savion Williams was the number one player that people around the industry were looking forward to hearing about today. So now a lot of us that do this for a living have to come on to live streams tonight and say, hey, you remember that guy we told you for 2 weeks that we couldn't wait to tell you how good or awful he was here today? We can't do either one of those things because he sat at home with his dick in his hand. Yeah, do gooder on that. And I don't know why he wasn't here. I have absolutely no idea. I just know that the fact that it took over an hour for a lot of us on the field to get word of the full list of the guys that weren't here, I didn't understand that. And I'm not, by the way, I'm not blaming the Senior Bowl for that. There's nothing they can do about that. The players have all the control. I'm looking at the agents. I'm looking at the players. If you can't get here, let me know that 5 days ago so I can get one of these guys from the Shrine Bowl or I can get one of these guys that needs the moment to show up. Malachi Moore needed this moment. He's hurt. He showed up here today and stood on the sidelines. He was in a T-shirt. A couple of the other guys did. Some of them didn't show up at all. Like, nope. Nope. Shemar Turner had another. He had an injury thing pop up, so he was not here. The other Texas A&M defensive tackle was here. Nick Scourton, and just to clarify, if you're scoring at home, Nick Scourton was not here. Not. Shemar Turner was not here. Shemar Stewart was here. And he is a fucking gigantic human. He threw somebody like a rag doll. I couldn't see who it was. It's the one that was leading. Yeah, I can't remember who it was, though. I've looked up and down the roster. I don't specifically remember which one. I'm looking now, and none of them jump off the page. It may have been. No, it wasn't Lampkin. The helmet was wrong color. I'm not sure. I'll dig into that and try to get an answer. But one of the only plays I saw from Shemar today, plays, not holy shit, that dude's a gigantic human, was a pretty good rep from him. Does anybody else have any YouTube questions, not necessarily Patreon questions, that are a little bit deeper? I just spoke for 55 solid minutes, and I'm not going to lie. Doing that when I've slept 2 hours in 2 days, and I at no point said anything that could get me, I don't know, fired. Pretty fucking impressive. Can't get me fired on YouTube because I can say fucking. It's allowed. Very tired. I'm going to sleep in that big king-size bed in my bedroom like a dead person until about 8:01 Central tomorrow, and it's going to be glorious. Okay, I'm seeing no further questions in the YouTube. I touched on literally as many players as I could. I'm going to put this video up on the webpage, NFLdraft.net. This will be the cover on the webpage of just my day one here from the Senior Bowl. I will do this again tomorrow, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, recap of day 2, 7 p.m. Central, 6 p.m. Mountain, 5 p.m. Pacific, since that was a big fucking question today. Hey, we live in the Eastern Time Zone. You sent us a thing that said 9:30 a.m. Which one did you mean? And then you didn't put it on any website. Just put it at the end. EST, CST, MST, BST. Anyway, day one of the Senior Bowl, big success. A lot of great came from today. Very excited for tomorrow. Be sure to follow the new YouTube, NFLdraft.net. We will be putting things, we'll be merging those things over the course of time. There will still be draft stuff here on the Sportsocracy page. A lot of the deeper diver stuff is going to the new one at NFL Draft Net on YouTube. Subscribe to the Patreon. That is a great way to show your appreciation and, to make sure that we get home because that money comes straight to us. We don't have to wait around for any time. It's just instantaneous. You pay it, boom, right in the pocket. So if you want to buy us a beer today and get some kick-ass killer content from here at the Reese Senior Bowl, that's the way to do it because there's a $3 tier. And here in Alabama, that's what beers cost. And you know where I learned that? At dinner tonight at a barbecue place in Alabama. That was really good. I'm Jeremy Green at ESPN Draft Nerd, NFLDraft.net, the Sportsocracy, living the dream here at the 2025 Reese's Senior Bowl. Day one's in the books. I will be doing the Patreon exclusive Q&A. Go to the Patreon, subscribe to that to see that. Other than that, I'll see you tomorrow at day 2, Reese's Senior Bowl, live from Mobile, Alabama.
I wanna be the best in the game, invest in my name, check no restraints, I'm obsessed with the pain, I ingest, I retain, assess and I change, possessed by the thought I'll be free one day from society's restraints, money, clout and fame, mud, disease, a plague, we all love to hate, have to play the game, have to make a name, all our insecurities are on display. This is war with the enemy, think that it was meant to be, living in a time where disease is on every screen, I won't let them fester me, I know most are festering, negativity is a plague for the mentally weak, no mercy, all I got is working, never stop searching, never quench the thirsty, I'm toxic and psychotic, with this logic, you can't stop it, it's been chronic, since I was a boy, so neurotic and chaotic,
built to last with the webs I'm weaving, I could change the past with all I'm achieving, got my foot on gas, never stop competing, if you break like glass, then this life's gonna eat 'em, make mistakes real fast, then you learn how to beat 'em, if you take off the cast, you can see all the healing, if the pain's in the past, move on from the grave and put your foot on the gas, no, never stop competing, yeah.
I've been doing this, I'm on it, I just wanna be iconic, sipping on a gin and tonic, got me going off when I'm on this topic, yeah. If I ever play, I want it, you know that I'm always honest, stay away from those who are toxic, keep them out your face, no way, you don't want them, yeah.
Don't try to drain my energy, the enemy is everything, it's mentally, unhealthily,